Yasuji Okamura was born on May 15, 1884, in Tokyo, in the Empire of Japan. He enrolled in Sakamaki Elementary School as a child and graduated 8 years later. In 1897, aged 13, he entered Waseda Junior High School, and in 1898 was transferred to Tokyo Junior Army School, before attending the Army Central Junior School. In 1899 he entered the 16th class of the Imperial Japanese Army Academy in 1899 and graduated in 1904, at the age of 20. Okamura was then commissioned a second lieutenant in the IJ 1st Infantry Regiment. In 1907, he was promoted to lieutenant and was assigned to the Army Academy to assist with the training cadets from China. In 1910, Okamura entered the 25th class of the Army War College, and was promoted to captain soon after graduation in 1913. He served in a number of staff positions on the Imperial Japanese Army General Staff during and after World War I, including an assignment to Beijing in June 1914. From June to December 1921, he was sent as a military attaché to the United States and Europe. While at Baden-Baden in Germany, he met with Tetsuzan Nagata, Toshihiro Obata and Hideki Tojo, laying the foundation for the Toshiha political clique within the Imperial Japanese Army. Upon his return to Japan, he was assigned to the 14th Infantry Regiment. He was assigned to China in 1923, and served as a military advisor to Chinese warlord Sun Quanfang. In this role he many vital information which were later used in the military operations of the Second Sino-Japanese War. He was promoted to colonel in July 1927, commanded the IJ 6th Infantry Regiment. From August 1929, Okamura was appointed Assistant Director of the Human Resources Bureau in the Ministry of the Army. He was involved in the March Incident, in March 1931. Which was a failed coup attempt to establish a military dictatorship headed by General Koshige Shigaki. Okamura didn't receive punishment for this. On May 31 the same year, he reached their conclusion of the Hiwa and Tanga Agreement, which was the plenipotentiary of the National Government Army. From 1932 to 1933, Okamura was Deputy Chief of Staff of the Shanghai Expeditionary Army under the aegis of the Kwantung Army. According to his own memoirs, Okamura major played a role in the recruitment of comfort women from Japan's Nagasaki prefecture to serve in military brothels in Shanghai. He also served as military attaché to Manchukuo, the Japanese puppet state in China, from 1933 to 1934. And played a role in the negotiations for the Tanga Truce between Japan and China. Okamura was promoted to Lieutenant General in 1936, and assigned command of the IJ 2nd Division. 2 years later, in 1938, he was assigned as the Commander-in-Chief of the Japanese 11th Army, which participated in numerous major engagements in the Second Sino-Japanese War, like the battles of Wuhan, Nanchang and Changsha. According to historians, Okamura was authorized by Emperor Hirohito himself to use chemical weapons during those battles. In April 1940, he was promoted to the rank of full general. In July 1941, he was appointed the Commander-in-Chief of the Northern China Area Army. In December 1941, Okamura received Imperial General Headquarters Order No. 575 authorizing the implementation of the Three Alls policy in North China, aimed primarily at breaking the Chinese Red Army. According to historian Mitsuyoshi Himeta, the Scorched Earth campaign was responsible for the deaths of more than 2.7 million Chinese civilians. In 1944, Okamura was overall commander of the massive and largely successful Operation Ichigo against airfields in southern China, while retaining personal command of the Japanese 6th Area Army. A few months later, he was appointed the Commander-in-Chief of the China Expeditionary Army. Even in January 1945, Okamura was very confident in Japanese victory over China. With the surrender of Japan on Wednesday, August 15, 1945, Okamura represented the Imperial Japanese Army in the China, Burma, India theater's official surrender ceremony held at Nanjing on Sunday, September 9, 1945. The Chinese representatives at the surrender was General Ho Ying-chin, who was also Okamura's counterpart during the Tanga truce negotiations. After the war, Okamura was found not guilty of war crimes in January 1949 by the Shanghai War Crimes Tribunal. Kuomintang nationalist leader Chiang Kai-shek retained him as a military advisor for the nationalist government. While he was questioned by the investigators, he testified about the Nanking massacre. I surmised the following based on what I heard from Staff Officer Mizaki, CCS Special Service Department Chief Harada and Hangzhou Special Service Department Chief Hajiwara a day or two after I arrived in Shanghai. First, it is true that tens of thousands of acts of violence, such as looting and rape, took place against civilians during the assault on Nanking. Second, frontline troops indulged in the evil practice of executing POWs on the pretext of lacking rations. Chiang Kai-shek's government intervened to protect Okamura from American requests that he testify at the Tokyo War Crimes trial. Okamura remained as an advisor to the Chinese nationalist government until he was decommissioned in January 1949 and returned to Japan. He was active in post-war Japan as an advisor to the National Bereaved Family Support Association, and also formed a group of retired military officers with Chinese experience called their Peidan, which continued to provide informal support for the Chinese nationalist government. Yasuji Okamura died in his birthplace of Tokyo on Friday, September 2, 1966. Yasuji